Hello, all you beautiful book babes. Today we are putting a twist on this episode. We will actually be discussing my book, The Jazz Swinger. My lead character, Nikki, has it all. A successful business, is a talented singer, and even has a supportive best friend. But she's missing one thing, a love life. She has always had this fantasy, but no man would ever agree to fulfill it. One night when playing wing woman for her friend Ian, she meets three dazzling men who Nikki is drooling over, but she decides to push them away because they would run if they ever found out what her fantasy was. It takes her by storm that they want that too, but not just physically. They're there for the full ride. Stay tuned to find out more. Hello, all you beautiful book babes. Today we will be talking about my book. I'm so excited. This is my first published book, and I kind of wanted to do an episode all about it so you guys can kind of get both standpoints from me and Nicole's. So my name is Lexi Haynes. I am the author of The Jazz Swinger. And then
I'm Nicole, and I am her editor. Sorry for any grammatical errors you come through. Come to find.
Well, no, we both read it 20 million times. God. And I'm starting to understand why authors, like when I see a grammatical error, I understand
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
I fully understand because it's like little, like we reread it this week to kind of prepare, and I picked up every little grammatical error. They were more at the beginning, so you could tell this was my first book. Yeah. In the beginning, that's where all the grammar... And then I got better as I went along.
I'm just surprised that the publisher, whenever they did their editing, they were like, oh, it's great, but why didn't you find it?
Yeah, so, like, I'm understanding now the full spectrum of missing edits. It happens.
It does. It happens.
But this month, we are actually going to do a theme. And we've kind of discussed this. Each month, we'll do a theme. This month is going to be about stalkers. So, my book, the main characters are not stalkers, but the protagonist is. So, that's kind of why we included it in this month. And then the rest of them, I'm pretty sure the main characters are going to be stalkers. Yeah. Because there's not many where the stalker is the protagonist. Yeah. They're normally the main person. And that's kind of the romance of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited for Stalker Month because I love stalker books.
I do too. Give me a stalker any day.
And you know those TikToks where they're like, you see a stalker in real life and they're like, no, no, no. And the girl's like, yes. Yeah. That'd be me. Like, come on.
It's funny, when my husband, when I told him my favorite book is Stalkers, he made the joke, he goes, do you want me to stalk you?
Of course, please.
You can try, it's fine. And it's funny, because now he's like around corners, he like peeks out and just stares at me and waits for me to notice, and I'm like, oh shit.
You know, it'd be really creepy if you had your window right there open and like you're working.
He scared the shit out of me one day. He like knocked on the glass window, and I'm like, motherfucker, glad I'm not on a call.
God, love it.
But yeah, so today we'll be talking about The Jazz Swinger. I did let Nicole kind of take over because I have a hard time talking about my book. I don't know if any other authors have that issue. I feel like everyone does. It's kind of like we're authors, we're socially awkward. We don't really talk to a lot of people. We just write our books and read. So it's hard for us to kind of talk and promote our stuff. But also, it's kind of like you read it. I wrote it, so it's almost like I love the whole thing. You might have other opinions, like certain things, certain details that you can give people that maybe I would miss.
Kind of, but it's kind of like my baby too, because I was with you for the process. Like, I didn't help you with the plot or anything like that. You did come to me with some of those issues, but I was part of this. Like
the climax. Oh my god, I struggled.
Yeah,
I was like, there was like 2 weeks I did not write a thing because I'm just like, what am I gonna do?
Right, and like I was giving you like little notes and stuff, like without trying to take away your voice, because I knew this is the story you want to tell. So it was still part of my baby too, so I am kind of biased, but like she said, I did read it fully 105,000 times, I promise. It's a good story though.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the characters first, because then that'll kind of get into the story.
So we got the main female, which is Nikki, and she is a bar owner and jazz singer. We have the main male, so this is a reverse harem, and so we got 3. We got Carter, Dante, and Ivan, and they are pro athletes.
Say harem? I say
harem.
I say harem.
Harem.
I was like, wait, can you repeat that? I'm not editing this out. I hope you know that.
Gee, thanks.
But anyway, so go ahead. Main male leads.
Yep, main male leads, Carter, Dante, and Ivan. They're pro athletes. Nikki's best friends. She has 2. It's Ann and Chloe.
I love that you had the little side note.
Oh.
The doggy.
Yep, there is one more character, and he's Todd. He plays an important role at the end, I guess.
And it's so funny because I based him off of a dog I've had before. So literally the whole characteristics and everything was based off of one of my dogs that I grew up with.
Who doesn't love a dog? Oh, jeez. Yeah, I love Todd at the end. Like, he's great.
I know, he saves the day.
Yeah, he does.
Everyone thinks it's going to be the guys, but Todd does.
Yep. So, like I said, Nikki is a bar owner and a jazz singer. She used to be on Broadway, but left to take control of her own shows. She didn't like the treatment she was getting on Broadway, so she left. Nikki's best friend, Ann, had started dating this guy and ended up taking Stan, which is the boyfriend, to Nikki's club. But that night, she saw them, but he didn't really introduce her. He was kind of nervous to...
Because Nikki is really into hockey, and so Ian didn't want her to, like, freak out.
Fangirl, right.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. He wanted to talk to her first before introducing. So when Nikki and Ian get together the next day, she offers to allow Stan to bring his friends to her club to hang out in the VIP section so they won't be bothered. And as I said, the boys, they all play sports professionally, but each guy plays a different sport. Ian wants to hook Nikki up with one of Stan's friends, but Nikki really isn't wanting to date or anything like that. She has a fantasy that she really wants to happen, and she's had this fantasy for a while, but anytime it's brought up with anyone in the past, she had been told that her wanting this is wrong.
Because I would think that's what guys, like a normal guy, that's me trying to bring realism into the book. Like women going up to their husbands going, I want multiple men. People would think that's crazy. Like, normally.
Exactly. I was like, because Jesse, my husband, every time I read a reverse harem, he's like, oh, you always want multiple men? And I'm like, dude, no, you want multiple women. Don't go there with me.
Yeah.
Shush. So you're right. It is kind of, like, in the real world, not going to happen.
Yeah. Like, most people would think that's just insane.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's becoming more common nowadays, I feel like. I have multiple friends that have that kind of...
relationship?
Yeah. Like,
poly.
Yeah, poly. Like, they, like, the husband and the wife, they're married, and then they have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like that.
I actually tried to convince Jessie to get a girlfriend. This day and age, we need help with bills, y'all. Like, y'all want to come sleep in our bed, screw my... whatever, just help with the bills, please.
Sister wife.
Yeah, sister wife. Just, I need help with bills. But yeah, so she has this fantasy of being with multiple men, but she's always been told it's wrong. So at this point, she's at the point of giving up and realizing that this fantasy is never going to happen, but she still isn't looking to be with anyone. She has always wanted to be with more than one guy, and it's just one guy doesn't do it for her, so right now she's not looking for that. This book is actually multiple point of view, so we do get to read from each person's point of view, you know, the main characters. So Ivan is the baseball player. He's not really social and prefers to stay in than go out. He was raised in an orphanage but met Dante at church when he was 10, and they have been best friends / like a found family ever since. Ivan met Carter through Dante, and those three have been close since they all met, lived together.
And that's kind of a plot hole I missed. I should have explained further how Carter met them. I reading it, I'm like, I guess I should have added more info there. It was just kind of like, they met him and they kind of fell together.
But like, how? Like, was it college? Like,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. There was that. But Ivan is more reserved than the other two, and he doesn't like to meet new people. Ivan has a daddy kink. So I'm just getting the kinks out the way, too. So,
because that's how I created my character. I was like, okay, this is their name, this is what they look like, and it's a smut book. I think each person should have their own thing.
Yeah.
And it'll also help me keep track when I'm writing. I'm like, okay, this is their role or their kink when they're together.
Exactly. And you could see that, like, I'll say later on, you know, how I really enjoy it. But, so we got Nikki, who wants multiple guys. Ivan, who is the daddy kink. Dante plays hockey. He's the romantic. He's searching for his one true love like what his parents had. Dante's dad died when he was young, and he became the man of the house, going to school, working to help out his mom, taking care of his younger siblings while his mom was at work. And Ivan helped him through those times, watching the siblings while Dante was working. And I guess that's kind of like how Dante and Ivan, you could kind of see, like you said, the plot hole where Carter fits in this, because you could see Dante and Ivan's relationship.
It clicks.
They click. And Carter just comes along, but there's no really background to how he fits into their group.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Dante has a music kink. He needs to have music to get off.
Yeah, that's what's the name of it? Oh my god, I wrote it in my book.
I didn't see
swear.
it.
Hold on. I don't even know if I'll be able to pronounce it.
Google!
I Googled it. Well, no, I Googled kinks. Mm-hmm. I'm being dead serious before I started my book. And
Which one? Which one fits the character's personality?
yeah, and I lined them up to the personality. Where's Dante's chapter? There it is. Oh, God. I'm going to butcher that. Melalagina?
That's why I didn't put it, because I had melalagina.
It sounds like a transmitted sex disease. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see that. So, lastly, we got Carter. He is the flirt. He doesn't do relationships. Carter's kink is pictures. He loves to take pictures of sexual acts, and he is the football player. So, one thing I did notice, and I do mention it later, that Carter, you had him as a playboy, but we don't really see that with him.
Yeah, we don't really see it. I kind of noticed that when it was like almost like I was so in the process when I finally finished it and went straight into publishing. I almost did not take the time to make sure I got all the plot holes. So now I've had some weeks where it's been published, it's calmed down, I read it this time, I actually slowed down, took notes.
Yep.
And I've noticed those little things. I'm like, I should have had it where Nikki makes him work for it a little more, and he like has those accidents.
Yeah.
You kind of see it when they go out and her dad's there. Mm-hmm. Because Carter's like, oh, the waitress is coming. I need to grab Nikki's hand. I need to make sure. But you don't actually see the playboy in him.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, like, Carter, I feel like he needed a little bit more, not only with his relationship with the boys, but also his background. But at least we know for the next book, this is your first time. You did a good job for the first time.
Well, it's almost like the whole climax was based around Carter. So it's almost like that. I felt like that was his moment.
Yeah.
Was the climax.
Yeah.
But maybe giving a little more backstory would have helped.
Definitely. So the first time they see Nikki is at her club. Anne had brought Stan and the three guys to the club to meet Nikki. She had been on stage singing, and all three men were immediately drawn to her. Carter learns that Nikki is a big sports fan but loves hockey, so he's trying to think of ways to get Nikki's attention. Yeah. Ivan shocks everyone and actually talks to Nikki. Normally, like I said, he's the one that doesn't like to go out and meet people, so he's quiet and sits there like a grump ignoring everyone, so it was a big shock for him to actually interact with her.
Yeah.
It's like
Ivan.
almost
each person gives her some kind of sense. So, like, Carter's kind of the funny one, Dante's the more romantic, but then if she needs calmness or, like, basic, it's almost like Ivan's there to kind of be calm.
Yeah, they all round each other out, basically.
Yeah.
So later that night, after they first meet, Anne is still trying to hook her up with one of the guys, but she's attracted to them all. She goes on to say that while attracted to them all, she's not going to do anything about it because not only is she afraid to be shot down and told what she wants is wrong, but also her best friend is dating their best friend. That would make some awkward moments later on if things didn't work out between her and the guys. And by the way, this conversation has taken place in her office, like away from everything. Ian had chased her down because Nikki had to walk away.
Nikki needed a breather.
She needed a breather from the guys. So this conversation where they're discussing this is taking place in her office. And throughout the night, she gets the chance to dance with Dante, Ivan, and Carter. Carter is a huge flirt and is turned on by Nikki. Dante is a huge flirt as well, but he's a more romantic kind of flirty. Trying to get her to go to this game. And Ivan, once again, surprises everyone when he gets up and dances with her. And they talk about the opera, which he admits that no one knows about him, but he loves opera and wants to take her. No.
Yeah,
you're right.
To say pause.
Pause there.
Pause.
So he tells her about loving the opera, which is something that no one else seems to know about him. So as she's dancing with each of them, she's getting to know a little bit about them. But soon she's done for the night. She's got shit to do.
She's a business woman.
Yep, she's got shit to do. She can't hang around and lust after these men. So the boys realize later on in the night that all three of them have a thing for her, but Ivan reveals to Carter and Dante when they get home that he had overheard Ian and Nikki's conversation in the office. He was looking for the bathroom and happened to hear what was going on through the door. So they decide to make a plan to date her individually to try and get her to ease her into what they want as a whole.
Yeah, because they all love this. Well, they don't love her yet, but they all want this girl, and they think that she is so special. She deserves what she wants. So that's why they're kind of like, okay, we'll do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and then they don't want her to feel some type of way because of how she felt in the past, so they're trying to ease her into understanding that they're not fucking around.
Yeah.
So Dante invited her to a game a couple days later, or a game that is a couple days later. Ivan asked her on a date to the opera, and Carter shows up at the club to try and talk to her a bit more, getting that going. I feel like the story was too insta-love for me. I don't like insta-love, but I like to see the buildup of the relationship before that.
Okay.
But after that one night and a few conversations, the guys are talking about her like she's their everything. They want to offer her the world and revolve around her, which is sweet, but it happened too fast for my taste.
Oh, yeah.
For my taste.
Yeah. Like, there's some books that, that does work. Some...
Exactly.
No.
I've never been that type of person, and this is where I mentioned, like, Carter being the huge playboy, but all of a sudden he's changed his ways. It would have been, better if he would have continued kind of on that track.
Yeah.
But it is kind of an insta-love story because these guys do fall hard and fast.
Yeah.
So Ian is Nikki's gatekeeper. So in order for the guys to enact their plan, they first have to convince Ian to give them Nikki's number. And Ian is pretty suspicious of the guys' intentions, but overall, the guys were willing to give Nikki what she wanted, and Ian just wants Nikki to be happy. So he caves. He's got these guys back. He's like, you're good.
He's like, we're gonna go. I'm for it 100%. You're gonna give her everything. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So Ian's got their back. Now Carter is up first to try and convince Nikki to go out with him and the guys. He meets up with Nikki at the club and they set up a date. When we get his point of view, we meet a new character, which is Rachel. So Rachel is his physical therapist. She's been trying for months to get with Carter, but although Carter is a playboy, he won't sleep with coworkers. Rachel won't leave Carter alone, and Carter ends up having to take drastic measures to get her away from him, which does end up working in Carter's mind. Like, He's like, she's gone, she's out of sight, out of mind, just... Done. So when Ivan's point of view comes up, they're texting about planning a date, and he gave her the nickname Little One. But I wanted to ask you, Lexi, why did you randomly have her call her daddy? Like, I understand, I get it.
It was like she was flirting, and like his personality... She even said it in the book. He seems very daddy dom, and so that's why it just kind of, she was flirting, so it came out almost.
Yeah. So I understand why you did it, but kind of like the way it just randomly was thrown in there, I wanted them to know. Boom. Yeah. Like, because he wasn't, in that time, he wasn't being possessive. He wasn't being a daddy in that moment.
Well, he kind of was, because he was like texting her about the opera, and he like wasn't giving her a choice. He was like, so are you coming or not? Like, end of story.
Yeah.
So it was kind of that, in that context, he was like trying to get a definite answer. Stop playing games, stop being a brat.
Yeah, to me, like a daddy thing would have been like, I'm picking you up at 6, I'm sending the car for you, but he was more like, are you coming? Or like, that's why I was like, I wanted to ask you to let everyone know, I knew where your mind was, I get it, I know why, because he does have that vibe.
Yeah.
But that small little context right there, the random daddy, I was like, why did you decide that time? Like, in the club, whenever he was being that way, would have been good too.
Probably. But I was trying to, like, because he's so secluded, I didn't want to do it at the club.
Makes sense.
It felt like it was too soon for that.
Yeah.
It was almost like I wanted Ivan's head wrapped around it before bringing that out.
Yeah. Makes sense. I do think the sex scene is really detailed, which is something I love when I'm reading smut. The first scene we get is with Ivan after their first date. Ivan spanks her and then eats her until she comes. They don't actually have sex, but there is some tasting of one another.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's real detailed and a real good scene, and I think all of your smut scenes were really detailed, and I love that. Yeah. I freaking love details.
Which was so weird, because the first scene was so hard for me.
You know what I was thinking? You must have had some real good inspiration. Because, like, you got detailed, and I'm like, damn.
I was like, the first scene, once I got over that first scene, it just went...
Yeah.
It was all through the door. I was like, I am done. I am ready. Detail, 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 detail.
Yep.
But it was that first scene. It was almost like I was sitting at my computer blushing myself. It's almost like when you listen to audiobooks and you're hearing it.
Yep. Exactly.
You're like visioning it yourself, because you're almost like your head, you're like, okay, this is what it would look like. You're almost having a dirty like dream trying to write it.
Whenever I was editing it, sometimes I'd be in bed with Jesse, and like he would look over every once in a while, and whenever I got to that point, I was like, turn my laptop, like,
look over.
You're not reading this.
Well, you don't need any more ideas.
No, like, I was just like, I wasn't embarrassed, but it was kind of like, hey, don't look this way. But yeah, so we don't get our first actual sex scene right here, but we do get some spice.
It was kind of like just a...
Intro.
I hate to say that it was a tasting, because they taste each other, but that's what it was.
Yep.
It was trying to get started, and also they didn't have condoms, because you got to think, they don't really sleep around.
Yeah.
These two. So I'm like, neither of them's going to have a condom.
Exactly. It makes sense for them not to have condoms. Yeah, it does. And she's not trying to rush. Well, he wasn't trying to rush either.
Yeah, well, yeah. Nikki threw that out the door. She was like, nope. You're mine.
So Dante's point of view comes in, and we get an introduction to his mom and brothers. Like I said, Dante is the romantic one. His parents had a true and lasting love before his father passed away, and that's what Dante wants as well. Dante had told his mom he won't be able to see her after the game, and mentioned, because it's a girl, telling her that she will meet Nikki when the time is right. His mom is not one to back down, just because Dante asked her to, so he called in help from his brothers to help keep her away, but like I said, she's not one to back down.
No, she's because I got, like, so... I'm Italian, and it's just like, it's that Italian culture.
Yeah.
Moms are nosy, and they don't want to ever let go. Like, I tell Billy, when we have kids, if we have a son, he's not allowed to leave. He's going to live here forever till he's married. And then when he's married, his wife will move in. They're going to live here forever, and they're going to be protected, and I'm going to be every part of their life, because my mom was like that too.
Yeah, so you get that Italian family bond in there.
Exactly. So it was like almost like I'm writing about my family, because it was like the same thing with the brothers. Me and my sister were the same way, always trying to look out for each other. Now sometimes it was hard. It was hard.
Still got rivalry.
It was hard. Like, there were some secrets I took to the grave. Like, my sister, she found out, so she started smoking at a young age because she wanted to be the cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
I kept that secret till she finally told my mom when she was like 21. and my sister was like, Lexi, come here. I'm like, okay. And she was like, do I smoke? And my mom's sitting right there, and I'm like, and she goes, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah. Yep. My mom was so furious. She goes, you kept that from me? And I was like, it seemed like an important secret. I don't know.
Yep.
Like, just... She's been nice to me because I keep that secret. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, so siblings do look out for one another, especially in such a family-oriented unit. So when Nikki shows up to the game, of course Dante's mama seeks her out and introduces herself and starts interrogating her. Not in a bad way, but in an overly excited puppy way. Like, she's real happy Dante is finally bringing a girl around, and she could not wait to meet this girl.
Oh, yeah.
We do get our first actual sex scene after this. This one is with Dante. Just like before, it's detailed, and he actually fucks her while she's wearing his jersey, and I love that possessive side. We see that, and he sees Ivan's mark on her, and marks her as well, and fuck, That was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, get it.
I think they make a comment later when they're having sex. Ivan marks her again, and she's just like, can you stop marking me? And he's like, nope.
Yep, I love that. I love possessive in my books. Like, it's just amazing. Another new character is added here, and it's Nikki's dad. He's a professional boxer. He's coming to town for a fight and plans on meeting Nikki later in the evening. He's only just introduced, but he becomes more important later on. So this is just a small introduction to, how do you say it, Andrea?
Andre,
okay.
I kind of did it like Andre the Giant, the wrestler. I was like thinking, okay, big guy, okay, Andre sounds like a good name.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes with their last name because the last name's Bell. So it's like Andre Bell. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So Nikki had decided to hire more help at her bar. She was planning on taking a step back and letting Chloe, her friend, and the person who manages her bar get a more active role in actually running the bar. Nikki is kind of like a control freak and doesn't like other people doing what she could do. So she decided to finally get some help. And Nikki ends up interviewing this girl who comes in looking for a position. But the interview didn't go well at all. Something was off with this girl, and Nikki just didn't like the way she was acting, and she was just rude. So the job was denied, and this girl just left Nikki's mind. Just a random interview and left Nikki's mind. The guys get to meet her dad and end up that her dad is a huge fan of Carter. And I love how Andre, the father, you wrote him to be so accepting. Like, whenever he finds out about the guys, typically a dad would be like, what the fuck? Like, no. But Andre was just so accepting of his daughter, was just like, are you happy?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Are you happy? Mm-hmm. And I love that. Like, you could tell that them two are close, which you do learn that it was just her and her dad growing up. So, obviously, they're close.
I kind of missed that point. Like, I didn't really say anything about the mom. All I did was like, oh, she's skedaddled.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, Nikki never knew her and never, was like, okay, you're not in my life. That's kind of like I would be like. I'd be like, okay, you're not in my life. Yeah. I'm not going to even think twice about you.
Yeah, never mention it. It's not an important part to bring up because she was never there. I see that. Of course, he had to get all fatherly towards the guys at some point and threaten them, but it wasn't an issue or a point of contention. He just wanted to see his daughter happy, and I love that. Like, he was good.
You love that Chloe and him flirt.
I do, and I'm really sad about your second book. So she's in the process of writing her second book, and I'm really sad about it because I really wanted Chloe and her dad to get together.
Maybe I just need to start over because I've been having writer's block, so maybe I just need to,
I mean, you could still do it with the other guy, but not a big harem like this. Just maybe a throuple.
Do a throuple this time.
I really want her to be with his dad, like her dad. Like, I love it. And it puts Nikki off, too. She's like, please don't sit on my dad's lap. And
Just don't.
Just don't do that. Like, that's gross. And I love it. So, yeah, your second book, I need Andre in there.
Andre's got to be in there a few times.
Well, when reading RH, you don't get any group scenes sometimes. And sometimes. I've read a good bit of RH books where the scenes, they individually focus on, like, the female and each of the guys, but there's a lot of books where they don't have the group scenes, and I hate that. Like,
oh, yeah, because it's like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what she wants.
Exactly. What's the point of having this if you're not going to write a group scene?
And you can see it, like, that's the one thing about my book that I do love. I, slowly eased into the smut, so it was like, okay, we're going to do oral, and then maybe she'll have sex with one guy. Okay.
And it wasn't all at once, like, all three or all four of them just like, bam, we're going to do this right now.
Yeah. There'd be no story if that happened.
Exactly. So, and it's not often when it happens, but like I said, it does. Why would you do that? But we definitely get group scenes in this, and it plays out a little differently. You took a different route. Normally when you get a group scene, there is one dominant guy that likes to sit back and watch while the rest have fun for a little bit. And Carter does sit back for a moment, but what's different is they assign a captain. So,
yeah, I was kind of going, like, they've never done this before, so they need to compare it to something. Like, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, so we're a team. Someone needs to take control so it's not awkward.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, let's do captain.
But the thing is that it's not the same person every time. So it's not just the dominant Ivan sitting back, letting them, this time it's going to be Carter, next time it might be Nikki, who knows, but someone's a captain and someone's going to control how everything goes.
Because sometimes, I mean, you would think you would want it to change it up. So it's almost like, okay, maybe I want Carter to be captain this time. Maybe I want Dante to be captain. Like, it was just one of those things. I'm like, it's not... And I think that's a problem with reverse harem books. They always have one person be that dominant. Yeah. But most guys, almost all guys are dominant.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like I saw it as that. I'm like, no, it needs to mix up sometimes.
Yeah. And I like that. And it does work out with Carter's kink, though. Like I said, he likes to take pictures. So it did work out for him to sit back and take pictures. But it's not always going to be like that. And I like how it was set to where it's not always going to be like that. Yeah. And it works out with their kinks, too. They all have time to do what they need to do to get their kinks involved. And I love that smut is just important as a plot. In a lot of smut books, you get a couple scenes and it's mostly plot. Sometimes you get just pure smut books and there's little plot. But this had a good mixture of smut and plot. Like, I was reading the plot and all of a sudden there's smut and it's like, hell yeah, then it's more plot, then it's more smut, and it's like, fuck yes.
It actually, like, is almost rotating. Yeah. It was like, okay, a little sprinkle of smut, and then, okay, we need to develop, because that's kind of how I thought it when I wrote it. It was like, okay, we got a smut scene out of the way, I need to develop the plot, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, I need to go back to smut.
Yeah, and I like that because in a lot of my smut books, you get a little bit of smut, and it's all plot, and it's a little bit, and the smut's good, but you want more of it. Yeah. And we get more of it. I love that. So we do get more smutty scenes throughout the book. The next one is with Ivan, and he finds her box of goodies and chains her to the bed. We also get a locker room fun with Dante, and so there are plenty of different scenes, but that whenever he chains her to the bed, like, I literally looked over to Jesse and was like,
this is good.
Hey. Like, you remember you remember that one time?
It's almost like, brain. It's almost like we needed, like, my next book, I think we should just go to Spencer's and look at the toys.
Well, I mean...
investigate.
That, too, but also remember we're taking that field trip to the sex club.
The
Woodshed.
Yeah, the Woodshed.
In Florida.
When we go to the convention.
Yeah, so
I need to do more research.
And then, because the sex club, they have all, like the St. Andrew's Cross and everything, so you'll be able to see the different tools that they use at the club.
I wanted to add that because I'm obsessed with the show Building a Sex Room on Netflix.
Ooh, never saw it.
You need to watch it. It's an old British lady that designs sex rooms. Fuck yes. That's all she does.
Hell yeah.
The only room she designs.
I want that job.
So... she does all these crazy, like, she gets, like, creative and custom builds these sex toys and rooms. So, like, the cross, that's in it. And there's just, like, but she'll be like, okay, so she looks at the space. Then she's like, okay, what are you into?
True.
And then what kind of style do you want it? Because some just want it to be relaxing. Some want a dungeon. Some want it, like, Yeah. Like, there's different types. So maybe I should rewatch that.
Yeah, and then, like I said, whenever we go to the Woodshed, you'll be able to see, like, everything. I don't know what's going to be included in this field trip, but it'll give you ideas for your next book. And I think you already did so good with these sex scenes. I think you would do great adding in other toys and play.
I should just do a straight smut book.
Fucking love straight smut.
Yeah, like, I'm like, I kind of miss plots, but, like, I've been half tempted to write, like, a short book. Yeah. That's just smut.
Hell yeah, that's all my stepdaddy books. Most of my stepdaddy books are just straight smut. God, love it.
Yeah, they really are.
I love it. Splot. The splot. Oh, jeez. So now the plot is starting to build. While at the club, the guys and the hockey team, forgot to mention that, the guys invite the hockey team to the club. And so while there, Dante runs into this girl that just looks like Nikki. Like, the eyes, the hair, looks just like Nikki. Ends up trying to flirt with him a little bit, but it throws Dante for a loop. And Dante's, like, confused, like, why does this girl look just like Nikki? And all of a sudden, this girl comes and plops down in Carter's lap.
Oh, yeah. I wanted it to, like, really, because, Nikki's name is a little lying to her dad, and it kind of shows that in this scene, why she is called that. Yeah. This whole chapter, because she, like, the guys were out in the cold, so she's screaming at her security, like, why are you freaking, these are my cubs, you need to treat them right, same with this. As soon as that happened, I knew Nikki would freak.
Yeah, exactly. And she does. So, come to find out, this girl that changed her look is Rachel. And she is trying to get Carter's attention by looking more like the girl Carter told her to leave him the fuck alone because he's in love, or well, he really likes this girl and he's trying to get this relationship. So she changes her look to try and get Carter's attention, like, hey, look at me. But she also goes and tries to make Nikki jealous by saying, like, this is me and Carter's together, and sits in his lap. And it doesn't go well for Rachel. Like Lexi said, Nikki is not about to let that shit slide.
Nope.
They start to piece in that Rachel has been stalking Carter, and like, how else would she know who Nikki is to begin with and where she works? So they have Nikki move in with her, file a police report, someone look into Rachel, like what she's been up to.
PI, security, they were about it.
Bodyguards, everything. They just know something's off with Rachel because there's no way Rachel would know about Nikki because they have not went public. Nikki is planning on going to New Orleans to visit her dad in a couple days and watch one of Carter's games. So she's at the club taking care of some business. She had planned to make Chloe partner in her business, give Chloe more control, but something happens before that could come, like before they're finished discussing. Chloe had stepped away, and while Nikki's in the office alone, she gets a phone call, and Rachel's on the line with some demands, telling Nikki she needs to lose the bodyguards and go outside to the car that's waiting for her.
Because it was about her life, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of in my notes. It was like, she is mad at Nikki and she's pointing, because I love stalker books and you do too, but some of them break down the stalker, like, what am I thinking? The brain, psychology. And so I almost think of the psychology of a stalker. It's almost like she's pointing her anger at Nikki now.
Yeah.
That one scene happened at the club. So it was almost like, okay, you ruined my life. You need to fix it.
Yeah, she already blames Nikki for Carter doing what he did. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it makes sense that she's putting her obsession on Nikki, trying to get rid of Nikki. Nikki's the problem. She needs to go.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, listen to this, why the hell would Nikki listen to her? But I try not to give too much away, but I kind of have to.
Yeah, that one you have to.
Yeah, I have to. Rachel and another person kidnapped Nikki's father. So Nikki's not about to just lay back and be like, hey, I need help, or, not listen to her. She has her father and she needs to go.
Yeah, because Rachel showed up at the fight. She took the opportunity because Nikki was not there because she had a stalker.
Yeah.
Or Carter had a stalker that was targeting her anger, so they were like, you can't go to this fight. They kept her inside as much as they could.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, you need to stay home, like.
Yeah, and I gave Rachel the opportunity to get to Nikki's father, so she does, and that's why Nikki actually listens to her and does ditch the bodyguards. There was more skipped over, but the reason her dad came to town to begin with was he was fighting a younger fighter who was calling him out, calling him old.
Yep.
And when that fighter lost to Nikki's dad, he got mad and was more than happy to help. So that's how Rachel did it, because I know you're thinking, like, how could this tiny little girl get this huge professional boxer? That's how. She drugged him, and she had help from the other professional fighter.
Yeah.
So Nikki was smart. She didn't leave without alerting anyone like Rachel wanted. Chloe ends up coming back and realizes something's going on, and Nikki tells Chloe what's happening. And I hate in books when the female main character is dumb. Like, I get why they do these things, and it's part of the story. I get it.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Tell this person you'll be killed, or tell this person we'll kill this other person if you don't come and listen to my plans exactly. But Nikki was different. Like, she was smart about it, and she did it right. She told Chloe what was going on, and Chloe gave enough time for Nikki to get out and get away so that they would think, hey, we're winning on this. So Chloe gave Nikki enough time to make Rachel feel confident that no one was coming after them before Chloe alerted everyone and was like, hey, some shit's gone down.
Yeah.
So she was smart about it, and I like that because, like I said, I hate stupid female main characters.
How I saw it was, you're not just going to have her just sit there and be all damsel in distress. She is a strong businesswoman. She had, she didn't have a rough childhood, but she didn't have a dad. Her mom. And she has all these insecurities. So it's kind of like, this woman is so strong. She's not just gonna sit back and be dumb.
Exactly.
Like, I hate those ones where the plot is very climax, where there is something like of this nature, like you said, and they just kind of sit there. It's like, great.
Yeah, because like, you're trying to write this badass bitch, but then something happens and all of a sudden they can't do shit.
Like, what?
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. I love stories like that, but a lot of times in my head, I'm like, she was this badass and now she's not. Like, So I like that you didn't make her not, or, you know, like you said, a damsel in distress. Like, she still was strong and did what she was supposed to do. So when they get to the hotel, her dad is tied up. Meh, mostly. Nikki is freaking out. And Chloe is batshit. But someone comes to the rescue. And it's not who you think. So, like I said, I had to mention this because it's the dog. The dog comes to the rescue. Dante's dog, Todd, ends up in the room and attacking the boxer that helped Rachel with her plan.
I feel like I should give some backstory. So, throughout the whole, her staying there, the dog got very attached to her, followed her around, got very protective. So, Carter and Dante and Ivan all kind of agree that, like, when they were going to leave to save her, they were bringing Todd.
Exactly.
Because he was gonna, like, it was almost like it was a plot hole, but it wasn't, because it's like, why would you bring a dog to this?
I mean, I kind of get it. I have a German Shepherd, and if anything was to happen to me, you can't even touch me without my dog freaking out, so...
See, not my dogs. Not my dogs. My dogs will lick, if someone breaks into my house, they will lick them to death.
No, not my dog. Not my dog. So I kind of get it. If you have a dog that's protective, you would want to... And plus, dogs could get in places you can't unseen, so...
It was kind of like, I was like, but I want Todd more in the story.
Yeah. I get it. So Todd rescues or saves him by biting the fighter, giving Andre time to get Rachel off of him. This is kind of like the wrap up, and I didn't write too much about the ending, but the ending comes with a big proposal later on in New Orleans from the guys, and then there is an epilogue that shows 18 months later, and this epilogue was my happy ending because Nikki shared some news, and that was actually one of my favorite scenes, and
she
I'm not
did
going to get into it.
Such a cute
Exactly.
way.
I didn't want to get into it because like I said, that was my favorite scene. I like the way she did that, the way she shared her news. That was my happy time.
I was so excited. Like, I had that epilogue plan before I was halfway done through the book. I'm being dead serious. I had it typed up already, ready, because I was like, this is gonna be the epilogue. I love this. This is so freaking adorable. I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Yeah. But it's going to happen. This is happening.
Well, that's kind of how my books, how I do books, it's almost like I have thoughts or dreams, and then I make them of, like, a small clip of it. So, like, I almost thought about the hockey romance, but I wanted it a different way. Lately, I've been having this weird dream, and I like, half tempted to, like, pause my second book and start, like, a different series, because it's, like... I keep having this dream, and it's like, I need to...
Get it out.
I need to write it. I need to get it out, so that way I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just started a little bit, you could always jump back and focus back on Chloe and her story. But, yeah, I mean, I get it.
Some authors don't do series. They just do a book.
True. That's very true. And you didn't do anything to indicate that you were going to write Chloe. This is...
Well, some of the scenes with Chloe and Quick...
There was a little bit. Like, you could tell something was going on. Like I said, if it was about her dad, then yes, you definitely set that up.
I should have set that up more.
You should have set up with Quick more.
Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Quick's gone. Quick's gone.
Yes!
Quick's gone. We're just going to do Andre.
So, I think the story was good, and it's definitely something that would have caught my attention had I not known you. But I also read anything and everything as long as smut's involved. So, as long as the story can grab my attention, I'm down to read it. For a first-time writer, I think you did good, and it was a fun read. I know the struggles you went through trying to decide how this was going to...
And that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's like, we've been through the process now.
Yeah.
So it's like, now we see what authors go through and can compare it to, like, what we've been through.
But not only that, like, I just really like reviewing. If you find my Goodreads, there's not a chance you could find my Goodreads because I put my name different.
I read so much, but I like rereading books.
I don't. I do not reread.
Hate it.
No.
I like it because it's kind of comforting when I'm late at night. I have, like, those handful of books that I can reread and kind of, like, if it makes sense, not pay attention because I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
And it's calming me reading, so it's kind of like my little...
And I get that. Yeah, it's your little personal time to relax, and you already know what's going to happen, so you're not, like, all emotional. Like,
it helps me sleep. Like, if I start a new book late at night, game over, never sleeping again.
Yeah, that's what happened in the next book that we're going to review. I started kind of late in the night, and I did not go to bed on a work night till, like, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I'm finishing this shit.
You messaged me at work and was like, yeah, it's going to be a rough day.
Yeah, like, I get it. Yeah, I could see where you're coming from with that. But the process of writing was actually really fun because the editing I ended up leaving little notes, jokes, and comments, kind of like.
Oh yeah, I loved when you did that. Those made my day, and even sometimes I would laugh at those comments, and Billy would be like, "What is happening?" And I'm like, "Nicole made the funniest comment on my book. I'm dying."
Yeah, like it's just a fun process, and I have so much respect for authors. Like even when I don't like a story, just the strength.
Even one of your comments made it into the book. I fixed
really.
When someone throws you over their shoulder, like there's a couple scenes where the guys throw her over the shoulders. You gotta think your face is right at their ass.
Yes.
And you don't think about them farting when you're reading smut, but in real life you'll be like, I swear to God, if you fart.
Yes.
So when you made that comment, I was like, done, it's gotta be in there. So I literally made a fart comment because of your comment. Was so perfect.
Yes, whenever I read that scene, like I felt so comfortable. I was like, what if he farts in her face or something like that? Oh God.
And I was like, oh, that's going, I gotta rewrite this. Hold on.
Yeah, it's just a fun process, and I really enjoyed it. But even when I like a story, the authors have to get their words out. They have that strength to get their words out and put it out there, and I think that's amazing. Like, you can't please everyone. People are going to hate your shit, and that's scary. And even for this podcast, like, it's another thing, like, we're putting our shit out there, and it's scary. It is. And like with the last one I did, whenever you told me something, that it really freaked me out whenever you told me about that, and I was like, oh shit, did I say it right? Did I do a good impression on it? Because
the author follows us now.
Yes, and like I love this book so much, and I want readers to read it, but like now I'm nervous, like, is this author, like, gonna hate me because, like, I said something wrong? So I kind of get, like, where you're going with the book. Like, you don't want people to hate it, but you gotta understand that people might not like everything.
It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Exactly.
Even my husband today, when we were gonna go record, he goes, wait, so your podcast is just gonna be about this one genre? You guys aren't gonna read, like, Harry Potter or fantasy and I'm like, we'll read fantasy smut.
Yeah, fantasy smut, but it's smut.
Because you would think it's like, oh, it's just one genre. How much are you really going to have to rate and read? And it's like never ending with this genre.
Exactly. Okay, so for rating, I think me and Lexi would both be a little biased, so I don't think my rating would be legitimate since we both spent a lot of time and effort on this.
I feel like yours, the reason why I had you rate it is because yours would be closer.
Yeah.
This is my baby. I want everything to be 5s. I know not everything is 5s.
Yeah. And I might be a little off because whenever I reread, I didn't reread, I skimmed because I had read the book so many times I thought I had all the details, but I completely forgot about the fart scene, so obviously I didn't have it.
That's why I was like, I want you to take control, and then I'm going to really deep dive into it and just add my little comments that maybe you missed.
Exactly. So I do feel comfortable giving a couple of different ratings, and I wanted to go in every episode. We're going to go into what we consider for our ratings. So spice is not just how much spice is in the book, but how detailed it is, how hot it gets, the kinks, the dirty talk, all that. 1's very low, 5 very high, obviously, for all of these ratings. Humor, this is just how funny it is, from cute little smiles to full on laughing out loud. Emotional can be a mix of things, how mad I get, if it makes me cry, if the triggers in the book really affect me. I'm not really a big trigger person, like I don't really have many. My really only trigger is like cheating and anything to do with... Well, for me,
I didn't know that was a trigger till I started that one book, and I literally told you, I'm like, I think I found my line.
No.
It's sex with dead bodies. I think that's our line here.
No, that's not one of mine. Mine is children and cheating. Anything to do with, like, the rape or, like, mistreatment of children, I can't do, or cheating. For some fucking reason, I fucking hate cheating.
But I feel like a lot of our stories, they're so dark that we read, that there's always some kind of rape or abuse to children because it goes into their backstory.
That's true. If it's like on page, I can't handle it, but if it's just like a mention, like if the girl's being trafficked or something and it mentions, hey, there's other kids here, I could do that. But if you're detailing, because I did read this one book one time where it started off where they were kids and it was detailed of the 2 main characters being raped as kids, and I was like, I mean, detailed.
No, I can't do that.
I read it. I ended up finishing it, but I was crying my eyes out, and that's where I drew that line, because that was the first time I ever came across that, and I made it through the book, and it was a really good book, but just I have some issues from whenever I was younger. It's just a line for me now ever since I read those detailed shits.
Yeah, so I don't blame you.
I don't have
be my line.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. I haven't come across the book like that.
Yeah, I read dark shit. I read dark shit.
Thank you for not suggesting it.
Yeah. So the emotional part is not about really the triggers, it's about how the triggers make me feel, because I don't really have those triggers for most books. So it's about how the author grasps me, like how they can drag me in, and make me feel what the characters are feeling. The world building includes a lot. So it includes the plot, if there's holes or not, the climax, the character development, character chemistry, stuff like that. So it may not be good on plot, but the character chemistry may be really good, and I'll rate it higher for that.
It's just a mixture.
It's just a mixture of different stuff in there. So for the spice was really good, 3 out of 5. I do want to see more toys. Like your next book, I want, like, your stuff was really good, but also I don't rate shit 5 out of 5 for smut, because that is for my real smutty shit.
Oh yeah, that's like freaking what's the book Bloodshed, where they have a small book that's just the smut scenes. They literally broke the smut scenes out and made a full book of it. Like that would be a 5.
Yeah, like I've only rated a handful of books 5 out of 5. There's some that are 4, but it's usually either a 3 or a 5 for me. And 3, like, I really love your smut scenes.
3, it's really not that bad. It's not the detail that's the problem. No. It's just that, it's not all smut.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all smut. But it was really good. I even would say maybe a 4, 3, 4, kind of around there. Humor, like I said, I didn't read it. It was like 2, 3 for me. There was funny times, but it wasn't a comedy.
No.
So there was like little giggles in there. Emotional, I knew it was happening, so like I couldn't really rate emotional because
it's kind of like you knew the book.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first read it all together?
Oh God, that was so long ago.
I know. I feel like you didn't. I don't know, because you added those little comments while you were editing when I was going back through it, and I was like, I don't feel like you were like, how do I want to put? Like, you know how when you get angry at a character, or you get upset about a character, or you get excited?
Yeah.
I didn't feel that emotion. Like, your little comments were laughs.
Yeah, but, like, it wasn't that, but it wasn't, because that was because I was trying to be in the mindset of helping you, and it wasn't, like, I wasn't trying to be wrapped up in the story at that point. Yeah. I was more of the lines looking for all these errors, so I wasn't really reading for the plot, I was reading for the errors. So I really didn't get into it.
I think, no. There was the one moment with Rachel that you got, like, I could feel it. Your comment, you were like, oh, something's gonna happen with Rachel. I know it.
Yeah, see, Lexi liked to feed me chapters, so instead of giving it to me, she would be like, here's one chapter, here's one chapter, here's one. And I'm like, you ass. I need it now.
Because I felt like editing while we go was such a better process, because I didn't have to go back and rewrite a whole story if you didn't like it.
But we did end up having to go back a few times. Oh
my God, there was like little comments where you'd be like, can you go back and fix this one thing?
Well, there were some times where I would point out plot holes, and then I would get like a chapter later that you didn't give me till like the next day or next week, and I'd be like, oh, that plot hole's explained here. So then I have to go back and erase my comment because you would explain it.
That's why I always, towards the end, I gave you like 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah. You're like, let me just feed you like 3.
Here's 3.
Yep.
It's almost like my own, you had your own Kindle Villa. Is that what they're called? Where you get chapter by chapter, those apps.
Oh God, I hate those apps. Yeah, I had them. Oh God.
They're expensive. Why would you do that? Like, as soon as I downloaded it, and then I got the first chapter, and it was like, oh, you need to pay for your second chapter. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I would waste so much money.
Yeah. Yeah. So the world building, I felt, was a 3-ish, because the insta-love and also the character development for Carter, and not only with the guys, but like what we discussed earlier, his Playboy ways. There were some things that just weren't fully developed. There were some
missing.
But it was still good. Like, I felt the relationship with them. I could feel the guys really cared for her, but it was too soon.
Yeah, because you did skip over a couple scenes where you actually got to know the guys. Yeah. When Ivan goes to the
orphanage and
where he grew up and introduced the nuns.
Yeah. So there are some building of that, but it was the relationship with them, because they fell in love with her before all that happened.
Yeah. And then I feel like Carter's your big one.
Yeah. He's my big one. Like, because we got so much on Dante and Ivan, and the plot was about him, but we didn't get his background or all that. So Carter was my big contention.
He was just there.
He was just there. He was just there for the problems.
Like, you have, I feel like every book has that character where that character, like, you don't really get much from them.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah.
I feel like I put more into Ian than...
I was about to say that. I was about to say that.
I put more into Ian than freaking Carter.
Yes, I know more about Ian and Stan than Carter.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm gonna cry.
But yeah, I think on Goodreads overall I gave it a 4, but like I said, I'm probably biased, so I want the listeners to read to the stories for themselves. Obviously, we didn't go over everything that happens in the book, like you just mentioned. I did skip stuff like the orphanage and stuff like that. So we did miss a lot, but I think I got all the main points that builds to show like the characters and how they come together and the smut and all that. So overall, I did think I'd give it a 4, but I'm also a very supportive friend and want you to succeed.
Yay! We love a supportive friend in a book, so we love a supportive friend in real life. Like, I don't know why, that's like my favorite thing in books is like a supportive friend. And that's why I need to have Ian. I'm like, Ian is that supportive friend. Oh my god.
I can't believe we already hit an hour. That's crazy.
I know. Like, you would not think that, but yeah, we hit an hour. So that's really all we have for today. Please remember that we are building our forum. So we are on every app except Apple now for our podcast. So we have YouTube, we have Spotify, we have Podbean. I think we're on Samsung. We're on all sorts of different ones. But also on our TikTok, I do post a little sneak peek before the episodes come out. Since we're filming this today, Degradation came out. I posted Thursday the little tidbit of what we'll be talking about, reviewing, and kind of giving you guys a little sneak peek before it happens, so you know,
Yeah.
do you want to listen to it?
Exactly.
So, and that's on our TikToks and Instagram. We have Facebook. It's Basic Book Babes podcast. And most of them, there's a dot in between. So it's really easy to find. I think if you look up Basic Book Babes, it's the first one that pops up. So make sure that you do follow us to listen more and to find out what we're gonna be doing. Like I said, this month we are going to be doing a stalker month.
And September, we're going on a week-long trip to a convention, and we're planning on reading and reviewing authors that will be attending that convention. We'll be trying to post videos from the convention too, but...
If we remember,
yeah. And that's where we're going to be going on our field trip to the woodshed. So not only is it research for future books, but also fun times.
Yeah.
So
I've already started reading, and I found my book.
Really?
That I want to already review. Like, I read it, and...
Is it the one author I told you that I read by?
No, it's actually not. Since there's so many authors there, I had to dabble in it. And this one was so stinking cute. I'm like, I gotta do that for the podcast. I got to. It was so freaking cute and so adorable. Because, I feel like it gets a little gory and... not gory.
Well, like I told you,
it's butt stuff. Girls don't like butt stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Because that one time I told you the reason why I don't read is because I had read this book. It was MMF, and it was a scene where they had just finished having sex and someone sits on the toilet and you could hear the noise. They described the noise coming out of the guy's or girl's butt, and it's like, if that's how it is, I don't want to read. No. So I completely gave up on because of that. I was like, I don't need to know how you're pooping after you do that.
Yeah, no. This author was cute. She was like, oh, the guy would be like, oh, I gotta go clean up.
Yeah, that's cute. That's cool. But yeah, so I might give it another try depending on, what we review, but we'll definitely be doing that.
Yay! All right, you beautiful book babes, you have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.
Bye.